Hey everybody, welcome to Dom's Den. Today's guest is a close personal friend of mine who also happens to be a very, very fine actor. You know him from Entourage, Power, a bunch of movies. He recently just booked his biggest role as a dad for the second time. Congratulations, man. He once said, any actor who is being honest will admit there's always a part of the real you in every character. It's impossible not to have that, and I totally agree with that. Everybody, welcome my friend Jerry Ferrara.
Yeah.
Welcome. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Fellas, that was a great introduction, Dom. This is great for me to see. I think you're killing it with your podcast, and you absolutely should be doing this, so keep on going. And yeah, father of two, acting term, I'm now further down on the call sheet. I used to be like number 1 or 2 on the call sheet, then the other kid, now the second. Now I'm like...
You're the third banana.
I'm a background player now. I'm like driver number 1. I'm just driving the car. Where are we going today? I'm driver number 1.
That's right.
It's, yeah, but you're blessed, man. You're blessed.
No,
I know Jerry.
Sure.
I know Jerry for a very long time. Went to his wedding. We kind of hit it off very, very. It was just easy. It was during shooting Entourage, and the rest is history, man. And we've been. He actually we had Courtney on. He got me a gig by putting out a tweet. So can you tweet more?
Yeah. What did I say? Because also I will say,
I'll tell you what you
I
said.
don't know if I got, like, Courtney's a fan. As you know, you talked to her, so it wasn't like I had to really sell her on anything.
No, it just lined up perfectly because your tweet. I think you were answering a tweet.
Okay.
And the tweet was, if there was anybody who you would like on the show that's very close to you or a friend of yours, who would that person be? And you were like, Dominic Lombardozzi. I would like Dominic Lombardozzi to come onto the show.
And that started the talk?
And then she responded to that tweet, and she goes, let's make that happen. And sure enough, she was a woman of her word.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. Obviously, you know how I feel about Courtney, and I always say, like, Courtney is one of the few people who, like, if she says something to you, it's not like Hollywood bullshit talk. It usually happens. Like, everything she's ever said to me is like completely, she has held up and done above and beyond. So yeah, when you came up, like I said, it wasn't a really hard pitch, and she was already a fan. So then it more became like, well, what's Dom gonna do on here? What could we really? And then we were cousins, as as fate.
I could tell you what I was not gonna do: get fucking naked, like I did on Entourage.
Who
the hell wants to see that?
You would have done it. Saw your ass.
You would have done it if they asked you to. I heard you and Courtney talk. You would have done anything for her.
Yeah.
That was one of my things with Courtney, because, like, if anyone's ever seen Power, look, first of all, in addition to a lot of talented people and really great actors, and like also a very, good-looking cast who's also very fit. And then I roll in there with, like, my dad bod. I'm like skinny fat, and it's like I told Corey, I'm like, listen, that's not in my act. Like, every actor does have a skill set, right? What they're good at. I'm not good at the double arm shirt takeoff, like being all ripped. That's just not what I do.
He keeps saying this. We're golfing. That's another thing we could get into, but just before he'll putt the ball, I got this dad bod going on.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
I'm like, you got 5% body fat. It's crazy.
He's right though. You got to own the dad bod, especially when you have friends who like do
and he's
CrossFit.
Hell of an athlete, playing basketball and
You lost a ton of weight though, right?
I did. It's slowly creeping back as my days in the gym, and obviously, like, Dom mentioned basketball, haven't really been able to play, obviously, but Match kept it off. I think the most at one point was like 60 something pounds. I got down to like 144, which was like, geez. But I still had the kind of heavier guy mentality. So when I would play basketball or like even mess around with my friends, it's like I didn't have that weight behind me. I'm like, I'm getting thrown around like a rag doll. I used to be like 205 with a low center of gravity, so you weren't moving me easily. Then I bump into someone at 145, I go flying across the court.
You're like an Isaiah Thomas. Small point guard.
You were like my Bill Lambier. You
Yeah.
were my enforcer. Dom was just grabbing rebounds and just clearing space. And we had a couple of good runs over at
It
the
was
Gem
fun.
Center in Beverly Hills.
Great workout. Great workout. So you just had a baby.
Yes, he is 12 days old as of this podcast.
Wow.
Oh man,
Wow.
in the fire, right in the
Yes.
fire.
And Jake is how old?
And Jacob just turned 2 last
2.
week.
I was wrong. I was a year off.
The potential dual birthday was at play for a minute there. But our second son was born April 30th. Jacob's May 5th. I thought I got out in front of Mother's Day. Like the May birthstone is emerald, right? So I bought Bree like weeks ago because the due date was May 3rd, right? I bought Bree an emerald little pendant thing or whatever, like from both sons, because I just was a firm believer it's going to be close. And then she goes into labor on Friday, April 30th, last day of April. So I'm like, this is great because labor is going to be like 12 hours. And it's good. Kid was born in like 45 minutes and it was April 30th. I'm like, now I gotta go. Diamonds, of course, is the April birthstone. So that, I mean, great. Wow, he's already screwing with me, this kid.
Clearly, you've been in quarantine too long talking about birthstones and
That's a lot, man. 2 kids in diapers at the same time.
yeah.
That's I try to spread them out. So it's like as soon as one gets potty trained, I'm like, all right, we can fire that
Well,
up.
one is going to be stationary and one's going to be moving pretty soon.
That's what's kind of happening, right? It's like to make the sports reference, we were in a nice zone defense, right? It's like I got the kitchen, you got the bedroom. So if he comes into your area, you guard him. Now it's just man to man. Like,
my God.
get your man, lock him up.
I can't believe you just said that because I was on the phone with Nut Job today, Chris Nikos, and I was like, he's called me to see if I could play golf tomorrow, and I was like, absolutely not, I can't do it. And like Jerry had the baby. He's like, yeah, I know, but now he's not in his zone defense.
He said it too.
Those were his exact words. He's like, now he has they have to play man, and it's gonna be tough. I really feel for him.
The irony is when you have the third, though, you go back to zone. You go back to zone when you have the third.
Really?
I don't know
Or
what you're
a box
talking
of one,
about
maybe.
the third. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm 41 years old, man. I'm not trying to have a third. I will say, too, not to turn this into full fatherhood, but right after our second son, and James, I think we can officially say his name. We still haven't, like, locked it down, which is insane. He's 12 days old. But Bree's dad, my father-in-law, took Jacob right when we got back home with the baby. So this way, we could have a couple of days. So we went to his grandpa's for the weekend. So I didn't see him for like 2 days right when he was born. So I had 2 solid days of changing an infant newborn's diaper, right? Which is nothing. It's
So
like a little, and then fucking big shot comes home after 2 days and like hits me with a diaper, and I changed it. Like, first of all, dude, you're too old for this diaper. Like, that's it. We're getting out of these diapers because after you change a newborn, I'm like, you're like a grown man. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So that was strange. I didn't love that. I'm ready for him to segue, and we got to get the potty training going. It's time.
Yeah,
Because now he starts talking to me when I'm changing him. He's like, Dad, we go outside. I'm like, don't talk to me when I'm doing this.
Right.
I can't wipe somebody's ass while they're talking.
You're able to go to the bathroom.
Dad, we'll go outside, play. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Right after you're done, like crapping on me, we'll go outside and play.
Yeah, and they think it's a power move too because they approach it and they're like, "Hey, I got a poo-poo.
It is an
I
intimidating
got a
thing.
poo-poo."
I don't think there's a more powerful approach to speak to somebody than when they're changing your diaper. It's like, you will do what I say, old man.
Oh man. And
They're animals.
I always hear, I mean, I don't have kids, but I hear like, how do you have all that in your body?
Oh,
Is that true?
The overnight? Oh my God, the overnight delivery? You wake
Yeah.
up in the, oh Jesus.
The overnight delivery.
It's terrible. And they're all eating so many vegetables, so the peas in the corn, they don't even process that shit. It's just, it's a nightmare.
So
That's the only bad part, really.
right.
Well,
Well,
the whole sleeping thing.
But it's
you
amazing.
get there.
It's amazing. I'm
Nah,
very
that's
I'm
great.
very
That's
happy
great.
for you, my friend. I'm very happy for you.
I like the name
you
James.
and Bree.
Big Game James. It's good.
Big game James, you know?
Oh,
Yes.
let's talk about before Jacob was born. How we're on a part 3. Do you
Okay.
wanna tell this?
Which, I don't know which story. We have so many golfs to
name.
wait.
A hole in one. You get.
Was that
I'll
we were on
name
a
your
po-
son.
Oh, right. Yeah, I for a while was getting real kind of cocky about the name. So anytime we'd be on the golf course, we get to a par 3, I would just be like, anyone gets a hole in one in front of me and I witness it, I will name my son after them. You see everybody tenses up. It's like what they like you
Shank
really want
in the water.
Yeah, not one person I don't even think hit the green.
Yeah.
I don't even think anyone hit the green.
Oh man, let's backtrack a little bit to acting, obviously.
Yeah.
So you made a very bold move. You started in New York, and then at a very young age, you decided to take yourself out of Brooklyn and move to Los Angeles. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yeah, at that point now, this is like 1999, about to be, the year 2000, and different than today. Everything really was in LA. All the auditions, all the producers, all the TV shows, the studio, like it was so much an LA business, where it still is now, but like you really can, especially in the digital age, be anywhere. But also it was kind of piggybacked off like the kind of teenage craze that was going on. If you remember movie wise, it was movies like Scream and Varsity Blues and She's All That. And like, they made it sound like in LA, they were giving TV shows to kids like walking around in the mall. And I was 19, but I looked like I was 15. So I was still going after like high school parts. So I remember saying, if there's ever an agent who wants to represent me in LA, I won't go to LA with nothing. If I could somehow figure out a way to get some kind of representation or whatever, I would go. And sure enough, I was fortunate enough to get an agent who said, yeah, if you move to LA, we will represent you. It was, oddly enough, an agency called Coast to Coast, who kind of specialized in representing kids. They represented, their big client at the time was young Haley Joel Osment, fresh off The Sixth Sense. And years later, I will go on to work with Haley Joel in the Entourage movie. But so I remember they made that kind of official offer. And I came back home, and I was raised by a single mom. So I remember telling, and I had an older brother though. I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, I'm gonna move out to LA and see if this person's full of shit. And I think she was terrified, but she also was like, if you think you need to do that, then I support you. And she did. And I hustled everything to like make as much money as I could in 2 months. Quick sidebar, I did save like $2-3 grand, and like a bad movie, lost it all playing AC/DC like 2 nights before I left.
Yeah, buddy.
Because someone said, some older guy there was like, I had Ace Deuce, an older guy was like, you got to pot that. And I'm like, that's kind of like all my money. He's like, I'll split it with you. Of course I pot it, and then an Ace comes out. So you let me get a repeat cards double. So I had to double the pot. And sure enough, the guy who said he split it with me disappeared out the side door. So I lost like 90% of my stack before I moved to LA.
But then you got a gig.
Yeah, I went out there and like, I worked in Boston Market. That was my first job because I didn't have a car in LA. And not having a car in LA is like not having oxygen on the moon. But I took the bus. I didn't really know a lot of people who took the bus.
The big blue bus?
Exactly.
I rode the big blue for a little while.
Yeah. And
you were out there young too, yeah.
I would have this like repeat kind of scenario where I would work in a restaurant or something, and I'd land like I got like 2 episodes of King of Queens, and I'd make like $6 grand, which I'm rich at the time. Yeah. So I'd walk into my restaurant like the movie Half Baked. I'd be like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool, fuck you. I quit. And I go shoot the show. I get my $6 grand, and I'd live fat. I'd buy weed, I'd buy food. And then like 3 months later, I'd be like, okay, I'm out of money. I have to go ask for my job back. Did that like 10 times.
But that's what we had to do. That's what a lot of people don't realize. The first 10 years, you had to take jobs that you were willing to walk away from.
Oh,
I have an audition.
Sure.
No, you can't. You have to work. Well, see you later. And I mean, those were all my jobs that I either had a good relationship with the boss, and he's like, yeah, go ahead as long as you come back when you're done. That was fine. But if not, I was just gonna leave.
Yeah, it was all too about like the nighttime job. You always try to get something that was like after
flexible.
5 p.m. so you could go to all your auditions. I mean, I haven't had one of these days in probably over a decade where I remember though when I first was out in LA, again, it was the ending of that teen, my like second day in LA. I think I had 4 auditions in one day. I had like 2 commercial auditions. I auditioned for like Band of Brothers and some other show that I don't think ever got picked up. And I just remember thinking, wow, this is easy. This is gonna be easy. And it certainly was not. The next pilot cycle, it became like the 30-something kind of mode. So there was nothing for guys my age, really.
It's hard, even when people ask for advice, and because it's different for everyone. How everybody kind of breaks into the business, it's different. You know, an open call, you get spotted, you do background work, or you do stand-in work for everybody. So I never know really what to say to them, except keep working on the craft, keep at it, try to stay, you know, be patient, but also be persistent at the same time, kind of thing, which is very fine line there. But like recently, a friend's daughter called me, and she wanted successful job, and she just wasn't happy. She wanted to be an artist, so she walked away, and she kind of knows what to do, but she's like, you know, how do I do this, and how do you get an agent? How do you do it? And it's hard for me to give that advice, because for me it happens so differently than a lot of the other people I know.
Yeah,
because
like anytime I've ever been asked, like, what's your advice on this, or could you talk to my friend about it, the only thing I know I could say that is helpful is do anything you could get your hands on, obviously with reason. Like, don't go do some stupid shit, right? Like, that's, you know, jeopardizing. But
right.
I always tell people, figure out if you truly love it first. That's step one, right? Like, do you love this? Would you do this if it paid, you know, 40 grand a year? Like, are you in it for the love of it because you love doing it, or are you in it because you like the famous shit and like I'm on TV or I'm on the movies? Like, figure out why you want to do it, because if you love it, then you'll be able to withstand all the bullshit that you're going to go through. That's what will get you through. Because I always say it's kind of designed to make you quit. Like, it weeds people out quickly. Like, if you don't love it, it'll beat you up quick and you'll be done.
You already have a strike against you. You know,
one time though, I remember I was shooting this really small indie, the kind of movie where like we're in all nights. There's no money, there's no craft service, nothing, right? So it's a grind. Like, after like a 17-hour day, I go back to the hotel that I was paying for myself out of my own pocket to put myself up in, and it's 7 a.m. I'm just coming home, and the dude working the door over there kind of spots me and says, "Oh, what's up, man? I'm a fan of your work." I'm like, "Great. You know, I'm cool with everybody as long as they're cool to me." And then he said something though that kind of I reacted poorly to, and I did apologize to him, but he said, "What's the easiest way to get into acting?" And I just looked at him with like bloodshot eyes, and I'm like, "The easy way? Do you think if I knew the easy way, I would just volunteer that information? Like, if I knew the easy way to do it, I wouldn't sell that for millions of dollars? There is no easy way." And I like stormed off. And then 10 minutes later, I went, because I think I'm a nice guy. I went back down, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm sorry, man. I'm really tired. I didn't mean to come off like an asshole." Like, there's no easy way, though. You just got to go put in the work and grind and see what happens. Like most things, you know, there's a lot of careers that are like that.
It is a grind, and I always say you have a strike against you as soon as you walk in that door. You have a strike against you. It's based on rejection. You got to have tough skin. It's not to say that you can't get upset when something doesn't happen, because I could audition for something and it still stays with me.
Yeah,
you know, because of the work that you put into it. But you have to be able to keep going. It requires a lot of sacrifice, and I tell people that all the time. Financial sacrifice from your family, from your friends, and I say the same thing. Make sure you love it. This is something you want to do, not that you want to have your name in a paper, or you want to be an actor, as opposed to a superstar.
Yeah,
Big
if you
difference.
strip all that stuff away, you know.
Huge difference.
Well,
And-
the fact that he asked you what's the easiest way, I would have said, don't even bother at that point. If you're looking for the easiest way to
This
become
ain't
an
for you.
actor,
He caught
you're
me
not
after
going to
a
make it.
17-hour shift on a movie I know nobody was ever gonna see.
Yeah,
and I'm paying for my own hotel room. I'm like losing money on the movie. I'm actually, it's costing me money to be in this movie that no one's gonna see. And
Well,
but
guerrilla
anyway,
filmmaking. That's when
I've actually run into
independent
that
movies
guy a
were
couple of
independent
times.
movies.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know, it is different though too. Even as I get older and now with kids, it's like obviously I still love doing it, and I'm gonna do it for as long as they'll let me. But I find myself now, and maybe it is because it's family. Like whenever there's even like the talk of a job, not that I get offered tons of jobs, or something I may even like audition for, make a tape for. It used to be my first questions are like, "What's the character like? What's the what's the?" And now I find myself just saying, "Where is it? Like how long?" And it's not because I'm like jaded or anything. I'm just thinking like I'm now leaving a wife and two kids behind for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. I gotta like get out in front of this shit, Whereas when I was younger and single, it'd be like, where? Great, let's go. I'll go anywhere. Let's go.
Well, here's the thing too. When you got Entourage, which huge show, booking it huge. First season, second season into it, so I would go out to LA. I would see Jerry, meet up with Jerry, and you always. It wasn't about, oh, let me go get a good table at a restaurant or let's go out. You kind of, that's the work, that's the fame, let that be what it is. But what I always admired about you, you always had Jerry Ferrara. You always had that world, your sports, the video games, the family, creating stuff. People realize you write. You're constantly trying to create stuff. The podcast, you do all these things, and you've always learned to separate. Now, did that happen because that's how you are as a person, or you just being in LA for such a long time before you got Entourage, you didn't want to be, because you didn't want to be that person in the nightclub every night. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so the business kind of made you separate yourself.
100%, Dom. And it was, for me, it was like a combination of things. I also am, and you know this because we know each other so long now. We've talked about real personal details about our life, but I could be a pretty anxiety filled guy. So when Entourage kind of started, my number one goal was like, all right, don't fuck this up. This is a good thing. So like, don't go out and like get drunk and do some dumb shit, and because they'll fire you. You're like, and as far as going to like the cool places, I was never like a name dropper or like I don't know, man. I still just never felt, not that I didn't belong, but I always just had the feeling. I sum up my whole career as like, I have the feeling that I did like sneak into a club, and at any moment the bouncer's going to shine the light on me and be like, how the fuck did you get in here? Get out of here. And I don't want that embarrassment, So I think to sum it up, it's like also having dealt with anxiety and panic attacks, stuff like that. All the things you mentioned, the video games, sports, that's all stuff that helps me cope with the anxiety. So I think going out and being a man about town would have added to my anxiety. It wouldn't have helped me. It's just not how I'm built. There was so many nights, Dom, and how many nights where we debated about, you would come to my apartment in LA when you were visiting or working out there. And it's like, come on, let's go out. And I'm like, I'd overthink. We debate going out for 2 hours. We exhaust ourselves by 11 o'clock.
I'm like, well, at this fucking point, there's no place to go.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do. Okay, so
was like swingers.
every now and then I like to, throw a few back if I'm not working, and but we would say, you know what? Let's just have a gentleman's dinner. Let's go. We'll eat.
Right, low key,
Nice low
everything's
key.
low key,
Like
low key.
And I grew out of that really quick. I didn't want to be. For me, when I'm working, I'm working.
Right.
I don't go out. I really don't. Very rarely. As I got older, because you know what potentially could happen, and you know, and then you're smart enough to know what's at risk, and you know, you make these certain decisions. But I've always admired you. You did that at a very young age and early in your career.
Yeah. I
when nobody was doing it that was around us.
I sometimes, believe me, there was a lot of like Friday nights at 10 o'clock where I knew there was like a party that would probably be a lot of fun, and a lot of people I knew were there. And there was a lot of nights where I would like self-loathe that be like, you are 26 years old. It's 10 o'clock on a Friday night and you don't want to go to blah, blah, blah's party. What the fuck is wrong with you? Many nights I spent just like agonizing, like, you should be doing that. You're 26 on top of the world. And it's just not in me. I will say, I was even like that back in Brooklyn, man. When I was like 17, 18, when my friends really started going out to Limelight and fucking China Club and all those, like, all the cool spots
Sound
back in the
Factory.
late 90s, like fake IDs, all that shit. I was always the dude that was like, nope, I'm gonna stay in the neighborhood, maybe smoke a blunt and probably go home.
Yeah.
It was never my thing. Although once I got a little bit older and more secure and like in my anxiety,
it could be the intimacy too.
Yeah,
it's too much. It's like
we had some fun though, Dom. It wasn't all anxiety. We did go out. It wasn't all like.
Oh, I went out. I went out.
I mean, I joined him every now and then. We had a lot of fun nights. Did a lot of dumb, fun shit, but
Even a gentleman's dinner can get dangerous.
Yeah,
I find that after 2 or 3 drinks, the anxiety goes down a little.
That is true.
It's
That is true.
So let me ask, what's one of your biggest pet peeves? I know you got a lot.
I'm trying to let me whittle it down to like what maybe affects me the most on a day. I mean, I guess the biggest thing is just selfishness. Like, I'm all for looking out for oneself and one's family, but there's some people, and I guess everyone could be guilty of this at times, but it's to varying degrees, where it is just like, you know, it's just all about them and they never try to help anybody. By help anybody, I mean, just don't be a dick. Just be a good person. I don't know. I've been screwed over a couple of times in life, like many people have. And it was all out of like greed and selfishness. And it just drives me crazy, you know, when people just, again, it's one thing to look out for yourself and for your family and make that your priority. That's cool. I do the same thing. But selfishness is just a big pet peeve, and like loyalty, you know, like I'm loyal to a fault. I wish I was different. I'm just not built that way. I guess disloyalty is a big pet peeve of mine.
Right.
I get into the smaller ones, but those are the bigger ones.
I think it's okay to be selfish. I think it's therapeutic to be selfish sometimes. Sometimes you need to be selfish to give yourself that time that you need for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're no good to nobody. You're no good to yourself. And then if you're no good to yourself, you're no good to those who are around you. So sometimes you need to retreat.
Yeah.
Yes, Pat.
It's
yes.
it's selfish. I mean, you could do that as long as it's not at the expense of somebody else.
Well, you just fucked up my Dr. Phil moment.
Oh,
It was a good moment, but that's a lot different than somebody parking in two spaces.
yeah.
You know what
I'm saying like,
this is-
if you're gonna
No,
take,
I agree.
If you're gonna take a half hour to meditate, you know, you're not bothering everybody, and that's special. That's your own special, selfish time.
Yeah.
But if you take up 2 spots in a handicap spot,
Right.
that's somebody else.
But there are those people out there that you do 99 favors for, and the one favor you decide not to do, the 99 favors that you did never existed.
What can you do for me tomorrow?
Exactly.
It's bullshit. I hate watching other people treat people like shit when they can't fight back. Like if you're in a restaurant, you see somebody treating a server like shit, or like I was at a supermarket and the checkout lady is just, she's just doing her job. And the woman had the wrong price for what she had, and she starts shitting all over this poor checkout lady.
Yeah.
And I got my daughter with me, and I use that as a lesson to teach my daughter, like, this is what terrible people look like right here. And I'll say it out loud in the store too, because those people need to be shamed.
You know what it is too? It's you don't know what people are going through, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I completely agree with that.
You don't know what people are going through.
Exactly.
Sometimes it takes going to the grocery store, not calling you fast enough. These are good times, but these are difficult times.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what I'm going through, and I know how easy it is for me just to snap, and I keep myself under check. So I'm aware of that right now. But you don't know what kind of baggage people are carrying with them.
True.
I get that,
so I get it.
But you as a person, no matter what the shit you're dealing with is, everybody I see you talk to, you treat everybody with respect. You never snap on people like that. Like someone who is holding stuff, like seeing people who are dealing with a lot of shit who still, have that character when you're having a bad day, the other people don't know because you don't take it out on them. Like that's what I see in you and guys like us. And that's why we have this circle and we're friends. It's the people that just throw shit against the wall. Those are the ones that I really have.
Well, I've seen Jerry. He kind of always tries to diffuse things. Always tries to look for another option. Even like when we played golf, and you can't do that. Well, how about this? What if we do this?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not that guy. Name 5 items.
Uh-oh, we lost Jerry.
No, we're good. Hold on. Let me switch my.
That was it.
I think my.
Hard out.
Hold on.
Oh man, he went through the wormhole.
I think my camera died. I gotta switch real quick. 2 seconds. Boom. Here we go. We're back.
Name
We're back.
5 items that belong in a diaper bag.
5.
That's good.
Can I count
Cameron,
the obvious ones?
Where'd you
or,
come up with 5?
5, 10 minutes.
5 of the most important items that you need in a diaper
I
bag.
live this life.
Okay.
Edibles.
I'm doing a little
diaper-
revision here.
Do we count diapers and wipes, or is that too obvious?
I don't know, Karen.
I'll give it to you.
That's
Diapers
I'll count
and
it as
wipes.
one.
Count as
Okay.
one.
Diapers, wipes, obvious. Okay, number 1. The water for the kid and yourself.
Yeah.
Number 2. The passy and or whatever makes the little one feel, whether it's a blanket or something, whatever makes him or her feel safe and secure. Number 3.
Doesn't include marijuana, Pat.
Not
Sorry.
yet.
That's what I have in my bag.
That's the adult diaper bag.
That's what I have in my bag.
That's the other bag.
That's the
Okay.
glove compartment. No, I'm kidding.
That's your golf bag.
I guess number 4 is hand sanitizer. Gotta have that. And snacks, man. Snacks.
It's all about
Give me
the
the
snacks.
snacks all day.
I'm taking notes.
He's right.
notes.
It's all about the snacks.
Snacks.
You're up on a karaoke stage. What
Oh,
song
no.
are you
How did I get
singing?
there?
Okay,
I can tell
you're
you
in
what
Dom's
song-
hot seat, by the way.
I can tell you what song I'm not singing because I've made this mistake. I'm not singing Italian Restaurant by Billy Joel because I did that in karaoke one time. It's a fucking 9-minute song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to be up there for 9 minutes, go right ahead. What am I singing if I'm up on the stage? I'm probably singing End of the Road by Boys to Men.
Oh my god.
Are you on a date?
Possibly.
Okay.
I mean, I go 90s R&B.
Have
like
you-
maybe Jodeci, maybe a little All My Life by Jodeci.
Oh man, little Casey and JoJo.
Hey.
Lately,
Wow.
lately see,
Oh,
look at
man.
voice.
There it is.
No, Lady from Kenny Rogers. Lady.
Nah, you got-
in
you got me
shining
there.
armor.
That's where I'll get you drunk and convince you to go up and
Yeah.
sing Lady.
He's a baritone.
Neil Diamond, loving the rocks.
Ain't no surprise. That's good. It's funny you said End of the Road.
I just I want to know. I want to know.
Somebody
if he-
asked- somebody
I wish
asked-
Bree was around.
Yeah.
So I was like, how many times has he serenaded you with any of these?
Oh, she actually
So
gets mad. I don't do it
tunes.
anymore. before we had kids and stuff, like our get ready situation in the bathroom when we're both like getting ready to wherever, say we're going to dinner. I blast music, I'm dancing, I'm singing, and then we'll go somewhere where there's dancing and music, and I just stand against the wall. She's like, how come you don't do what you do in the bathroom?
What we would do.
I'm like, that's because it's my own bathroom and no one can see me, so I'm free. She always gets mad at me. How come you're not like what you do in the bathroom? You're all singing and dancing.
Oh, the date. I remember when they dated, man. Name a movie that makes you cry.
Wow. Well, most recently, I cried at the Tiger Woods documentary. At the very end,
Pretty powerful, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
and I do wonder if it is because I have a son and now two sons. Like when I was hearing Earl Woods, when he says the line like, "You have to forgive me," I get a little emotional when I talk about my son. Like I've heard that speech like a million times because it's a very famous video interview or press conference, but I get, it just hit me differently. But in terms of like all time, I always like, unbeknownst to everyone, get super teary eyed when Joe Pesci's character dies in Goodfellas. It still bothers me because then like De Niro like
That
pushing over the payphone and like De Niro cries like they're fucking whacked. Like I don't know.
He's
I
gone.
hold it like
He's
right
gone.
here.
That's good.
That's
I
it.
hold
He's
right
gone.
here. There's always like, it's always right there. I know it's really weird to cry at a serial killer getting killed in a movie, but
Hey, it's Joe.
Wait till
and Rudy always gets me.
Rudy.
Although some of
great.
Rudy, I feel like, has always been like, what's real? Was it really like that? But Rudy would always. And Brian's song, as we covered on Entourage, is the ultimate guy cry movie, like the ultimate.
Yeah.
My guy cry movies have changed now that I have children. Like we turned on Raya, the Last Dragon last week with my
Got
kids,
you.
and I'm fine. And then at the end, I swear to God, I had to get up and walk out of the room so that my kids didn't see me weeping. I'm like, what's wrong with me right now?
Oh no, Mickey from Rocky gets me sometimes.
Yeah, Mickey.
They made me watch The Sound of Music the other day. My daughter. I was crying because I was watching it. Not because
It's a whole different cry.
it's a whole different thing.
All right, Jared. If you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice, how old are you, and what's that piece of advice?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm probably like, oh man, well, I'm probably like 16, and what I would tell that 16-year-old is, enjoy yourself a little bit more. Okay, life is short. Enjoy yourself a little bit more. But now also, I want that's used to be how I always felt about, if I ever thought about that. But now here's what I would say, and this is a little more detailed. I will say, look, it's great, kid. And I'm probably still 16. I would say, listen, it's great to lend your friends money. Everyone should try to help their friends. But let me just tell you a little something about math, you dumb fuck, okay? Someone asks you to borrow $5,000. That's great. You should help people if you can. If you could afford it, great. But just remember, that's not $5,000 they're asking you to borrow. In your line of work where you pay taxes and commissions, okay, for you to make 5, you got to make like 11. So you're lending that motherfucker $11,000.
Yeah.
Think about that every time someone asks you to borrow a buck. I've been lucky in that regard, though. I haven't been hit up too hard. And also, I just tell now it's just like, I got kids, man. I ain't got no money for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
They get all the loans.
So what's going on with work? I know you moved. You moved to Ohio, and we were all in quarantine. We all had to deal with COVID. And so, have you been writing? Have you been creating anything?
Yeah. So besides making kids, I have done some work outside of that. Right before, basically, I think it was like this November, December of 2019, I guess it was, right? So right before COVID hit, I did produce and act in a movie with a friend of mine who's also become just like a creative partner in a lot of ways. We raised a little bit of money, made this indie in New York that, was made for a very small amount of money that we shot in like 18 days. And the movie's actually good. It just got into Tribeca Film Festival, which they're doing like a big digital festival and all that. It's actually going out. It's called Dating in New York. It's a rom-com. It's going out like literally this week to like 150, buyers and stuff like that. And it's got some good heat. So we're hopeful that that'll sell and people will get to see that. And then coming off that, do you remember the documentary I produced, Band Called Death? Do you remember that doc? We just got an offer to make that into a feature. So that's pretty cool. We've been working on that. That deal's literally happening right now. And, I do have a show with Courtney that we're taking out, basically that we've been working on for a while. So it's weird. Like I've been super efficient while being home, being able to, it was nice being able to like get some work done. And then like the kids are right out there and, although I do love the coffee meetings and the meeting for a drink and just like actually being in person with people. And I can't wait till we do that again. I'm supposed to leave in July to start a movie. It seems like that's all good and going to happen, but I don't really celebrate anything until I'm actually there.
Right.
So if that happens, great. And and then me, I'm always doing like my sports stuff and my gaming stuff. We have season 4 of the 2K League starting up. And
about those Knicks? What do you think about the Knicks,
what's
buddy?
gonna happen with that?
Listen, I don't want to turn this into a
That's
basketball podcast, but let me just say, 2 things have happened while I've left New York in my life. Okay, and we did move to Ohio, but we do plan on going. The plan is always to try to get back to New York and do like a back and forth till we actually know where like the next long-term job is and all that stuff. But so we talked about me moving to LA, right? I moved to LA in 2000. What I dreamed for my entire childhood that I thought I would never see in my lifetime happened right after I moved to LA. Yankees Mets World Series, the Subway Series, something I never thought would fucking happen in my lifetime. We're never going to see that happen. The next World Series after I left was that World Series. So now I come here to Ohio where my wife's family's from, and they are so helpful with the kids and great people. And what happens? The fucking Knicks are good.
It's amazing.
I've been going to Knicks games for the last 15 years. They made the playoffs once. They're fucking good.
We were at the last
we were at the Pacer game. Last play.
It's pathetic. We were there. It was so exciting.
Yeah. So, but I'm loving it. The West Coast trip they were just on sucks because me trying to watch a basketball game at 10 o'clock at night is just not happening.
That's
not happening.
the problem. It's like I'm up late now watching these Knicks games.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, they went to overtime last night with the Lakers. They beat the Clippers the other night.
Yep.
It's
tough,
no,
it's awesome. I'm in my glory, and I feel like
I
I've
have
earned
no
it.
idea what you guys are talking about.
Just know, Dom. All you gotta know is the Knicks are good. The Knicks are back.
For a change.
It's all about the defense. That's it.
So who killed JFK?
That's a good segue. That's great.
Dom and I have thrown around every
I
theory
think
possible.
it's, I don't know. I don't think it's what we were told. I can tell you that. I don't think that.
Back and to the left.
Yeah,
Back and to the left.
That is one magic loogie.
Yeah. Exactly. Have you been playing any golf out there?
I have.
This is a question coming from Coast.
Yes. So I was playing. I mean, man, let me tell you, I always thought, like, how much worse could the weather be in, like, Northeast Ohio compared to, like, New York? New York gets shitty winters, right? It's different, man. It's just different. It snowed here like a week ago.
Lake effect. That's the lake effect.
But April was beautiful. I got some golf in. And then when Bree went into labor,
Maybe
like
I could get
early
3 holes in.
labor.
Yeah, get quick night.
Early, later, like noon, I was on the golf course.
Is there a par 3 around here?
I was on the 3rd hole, and it was raining to shitty weather. So I'm like, shit, it's raining, it's cold, and I think my wife went into labor. I should probably leave. And then they were like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, and I left. So I'm hitting the ball. Ironically enough, drivers working like crazy. I can't putt, which usually with me it was always the reverse. So but I'm coming back to New York to get you guys. We got to finish one of our matches. I owe steak dinners and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're all ready for you. We miss you, man.
I'm gonna have to crash at your house because I ain't doing the Brooklyn to Westchester drive no more. Done with that.
No blowing out rims.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, stay in
God.
Westchester, man.
Felt bad.
I'm curious, just because we've all been binging shit during COVID and whatnot. But like, you were on some huge shows, and what are you watching these days? Like, what's been inspiring you since you've been creating so much? Like, what do you watch and draw inspiration from?
So I watched most recently, we watched like Queen's Gambit, which was great.
Yeah.
I had never seen The Office before. And everyone's always
Which
telling
one?
me how the American version. And I hadn't seen the British version either, but and I always imagined it was good. And watch just like as like the show you're going to sleep on, like, all right, let's go to bed. It's not, and then you end up watching 4 episodes. Yeah, we ripped through
The Office.
ripped through that. I really liked Gangs of London. Was
Yeah.
oh man, write down Gangs of
See,
London.
this is why I like this question, because it gives me more material to
Gangs
go
of
home and
London,
watch.
which I believe is it's either you get it here on AMC or FX. I'm not quite sure, but it's fucking awesome.
What about some of the documentaries?
Did you watch Sons of Sam?
Did you watch Sons of Sam?
I didn't watch Sons of Sam yet. I got that one. I got that one. You know what I was watching on HBO Max, and I watched the Tiger doc on HBO Max. I've been watching the
yeah.
Generation Hustle. Have you guys seen this?
I've heard it.
Oh.
I've heard. That's
I've
my
heard
next
of it.
plug.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
It's basically like 8 or 10 episodes. They're all standalones, right? And they're all like these like sort of elaborate or sometimes really simple just schemes and cons. It's fucking it's so
like Dirty
interesting.
Money?
No, it's different. Like for instance, there's the one that I most recently watched is about this. He's known as like a scam rapper, right? He's from Detroit. He scams people on whether it's Instagram or credit card fraud, whatever. He's like made $1 million off of this, and he raps about it. And like his rapping is like okay, but he's literally giving like a blueprint of how to do it because he's done it. And he since has gotten like a record deal. It's I'm telling you, watch it.
No, I'll watch it. See, you got to save
It's
me
great.
from these two. It's just nonstop documentaries about homicidal maniacs.
Ah, well,
It's
I'm into true
unfucking
crime.
believable.
You know?
And the
Sons
two of
of
them,
Sam.
I'm on the text thread with the both of them, and they're like, "Oh, Son of Sam, Night Stalker," and I'm like, I turn this on with my
Did you
wife.
see the
It
Jack the Ripper
ruins
one?
my whole
I saw
week.
the Ripper, yeah.
The Ripper one. I watched that.
I've seen all of them.
So you guys like to do some light watching before bed? Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I
Little
watched
feel
that,
good.
and then with Fina, we revisited Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah. Of
So,
course.
you know,
Yeah, you
go
know
out
what?
with a little Brad Garrett.
You gotta mix it up a little.
I got
Stop it. Deborah.
I got two that are in the fire right now. Like one I just finished because it's just been, but Snowfall. If you're not watching Snowfall, I mean, it is just incredible. I just finished the 4th season or whatever it was, and it's come back for season 5. It's insane. And of course now I'm on to the Handmaid's Tale, which is just incredible.
So
If you're not you watch
yes.
Handmaid's Tale?
I can't get into
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's incredible.
we
These are- I mean,
started
those
that.
are those are great shows.
Great shows.
It's great, but I will say, and I know what the 4th season just dropped, right?
Yeah. My wife was watching it.
It's so good and so powerful. I can't watch it.
It's hard to watch. I get
Like
it. It's hard
we
to
just
watch.
had the second baby. We're barely sleeping. Like I can't take an hour and like go there.
Yeah.
And that's only because it's well done. But
That's
yeah,
the
that's
thing. They just
crazy.
They just drain everything from you, and you feel so bad for these people. And then they just give you a little nut to give you a glimmer of hope, and that's enough
Yeah.
to keep you watching. And then it explodes. It's just it's a roller coaster. But
It's wild. Yeah, that's
it's incredible.
That's a good one.
I've said my piece.
Snowfall. I haven't seen Snowfall.
Oh,
Snowfall's
Is that a
really
sci-fi
good.
thing?
no! It's all about the introduction
Really?
of crack rock
I
to
might have to
America.
get into
It's
it, yeah.
unfucking
Oh, wow.
believable. The lead
Yep.
actor is this young British kid, and he plays the dude who, like the young guy who starts like basically gets this cocaine connection, and then he finds out a way to turn it into crack, and how it destroys. It's like and the CIA supplying it. It's crazy on so many levels, and it's
Yep.
so well done. It's legit. It's quality.
Did you see The Bodyguard?
I didn't.
Wait,
I
why
heard
did you
good
do
things
that?
though.
That was
Really
great.
good.
I heard
There's
good
so
things.
I
much.
like how
I
they
mean,
do it. I like how the BBC does it. They do 6 episodes.
and then it's done.
Yeah. It's amazing how they're able to tell that story in
did
6
that-
episodes.
Didn't you do that with Peaky Blinders too? It was like
Peaky
6 episodes,
Blinders
yeah.
and Taboo is another one.
That's kind of my problem. Is sometimes like there's so much stuff I actually have
There's
to
a
like
lot.
spend
There's so
30
much
minutes
stuff.
and do like a cognitive like Google research on what's out there, because like you see a show and you're like, okay, that looks dope, I want to watch that, and then 2 days go by and you see 4 more shows advertised that you're like, oh, and then you forget about the first one you saw 2 days before. So that every now and then I literally have to like keep a notes list in my phone, or else I will forget.
I do the same
and
thing.
I forgot about Queen's Gambit for like weeks, and then finally I was like, oh no, this is the show we got to watch, and we watched it and I was like, wow, that was great, I enjoyed that.
That's going to
Okay.
be my next show, actually. That and probably Snowfall. But I have to know that I'm going to be able to watch it, because once I start something, I binge it.
Snowfall's on
It's
Hulu.
the best way
So-
to do
It's
it.
on Hulu. Binge
I'll
the shit
wait.
out of it.
Has anything changed as far as like in the old days there used to be like network TV and you had your big studios producing the films, whereas now you have streaming, Hulu, Netflix? What's the biggest change you guys
Just that
seen?
they're all competing with each other now.
But is it easier or harder to get work, or is
I
the
think
quality
it's-
of work less than?
I think it's like improved in some areas, and then other areas it's kind of gotten harder. I think it's just improved on the level of there's just so many more platforms to
Flooding
like
the market
take
with
ideas
content,
and stuff like that.
Is it
I
diluting
think it's really
the
good for
market?
like producing. I don't think it's diluting, because think about it, right? Like every now and then you go through the Netflix shows or movies or the Amazon Prime, and you're kind of like, when are they making all these or buying all these? You know, I do think it's giving a lot of people chances to maybe get their ideas made that maybe they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I do think that's, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but from everything I've kind of paid attention to, it definitely feels like those streamers are kind of like where the new independent films have to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we're ever really going to be like, hey, let's go watch Manchester by the Sea in the theater. Like, yeah, there'll be a theater release, and that movie did well in the theaters, but that was years ago. Like, you know, I really do think that at least maybe coming back from COVID, the theaters might just be packed with the bigger action event type movies, and then those other movies that are just good story, you know, the more indie type stuff will be on just right in your home.
Yeah, I think COVID changed the whole landscape. I think there's going to be, I think, the film business before COVID, and then there's a film business after COVID.
Yeah.
Before COVID, they were on a track where it would be like in 5 years. I was talking to people and I'd be like, you'd be able to, you know, buy movies that are in the theaters. You'd be able to pay extra money for them and buy them at home. And COVID just kicked that right in the ass and
Right.
said, we're doing it right
Well,
now.
they had movies that came out during COVID and went straight to VOD,
Yeah.
and everybody watched
still
them,
doing it right
and,
now.
and they did
HBO
really
Max has
well
all the
because
Warner Brother
everybody
movies.
was home.
The thing that I'm going to find, I
But do
already
you
have
want to
found.
watch? I'm sorry, Jerry. But do you want to watch?
The new Avatar at home.
Hell's yeah.
Yo, I want to go to the theater.
Do
and
you
see
want to
that.
watch James Gunn's next movie in your house, or you want to see it on a big screen? Like
I
an
love
Avenger
going to
movie,
movies,
or-
man. That's as like a
You know, I'm
social
with you.
event.
It's the social aspect of it.
There are
too.
some movies,
yeah.
Jerry knows this.
Yeah.
There are some movies. When I watch a movie, I like to be alone.
Yeah.
I prefer not being in the movie theater, to be perfectly honest. But then there are some movies where it's action and stuff, and you want to experience that with an audience. You know, you want to woo and
I like the
with
dinner
everybody
after
else.
to discuss too. Like, you know,
cool,
let's
yeah.
go eat, have a drink, and talk about what we just saw. And
Yeah.
So
Even
I,
like-
I definitely miss that part.
Even like
of it for
comedies.
sure.
Comedies is so
Yeah.
much better in a theater.
Exactly.
Just because once somebody
laughter's
starts laughing,
contagious.
you know, it catches.
Like having a
But hey-
laugh track.
Yeah. But hey, they said September Broadway theaters go to 100% capacity, and movie
That'd be
theaters
great.
are not going to be far behind that at all, because you're never going to be able to replace that experience of going to the theater, especially for kids.
And we shouldn't
Taking
lose
kids
that
to the
tradition.
movies, that's a huge thing. We're not going to lose that
We
tradition.
shouldn't lose that tradition.
I'll tell you what, business wise, I'm definitely struggling with, and I always will. I don't think you are, Dom. I think it's actually like we are completely, maybe I'm wrong. I just think it's something that you're really good at and something I'm terrible at, you know, because of COVID and stuff like that. And it was already sort of going this way. Again, it was something else that was maybe just accelerated is, I don't even know when, if ever again, I'll audition in person for a project, right? Used to be, you get the material, you have a day or two to work on it, and then you go in the room and there's casting people, producers, director, whatever. And that is what I prefer. I need that like nervousness of, I could bomb in front of 7 people and look like a total asshole. Not only will I not get the part, but I'm going to be embarrassed on my way out the door. I need that kind of adrenaline, fear to like be sharp. Because now, obviously, for safety, and by the way, worth it. I don't want to go. I'll follow every safety precaution. And it was, like I said, it was going this way anyway as like a time element to save time. But then it became a safety thing. You get the material and you make the tape yourself. Right. And you send people a Vimeo link or whatever your link is, and that's your audition material. For me, I am struggling with it because I don't feel the stakes that way. Like to me, I'm just trying to get it done. I'm just trying to get it. It's like almost like a nuisance. I'm trying to get it over with and just go about my day. I don't put in max effort because I just don't feel like there's any risk involved. Dom, because maybe also being in New York a lot and maybe some of the stuff was in LA. I don't know. I just feel like you are a lot better
I was
at
forced to.
self-tapes.
Yeah,
Right.
because when I've always lived in New York, so all the auditions and all the director or producer sessions were always in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but to put myself on tape.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I've ever gotten the job off of self-tape.
It's hard. It's
200
hard.
tapes
Well, you
I've
have
made
no
in my
notes.
career. I don't think I've ever gotten one.
you have no notes.
That's the other thing, right? It's like
it's
you
your
give-
take.
You give an actor, like, here, you have all day to shoot this scene. That's great. Well, and then we do 9 takes. How the fuck? Are we supposed to pick one?
Dom,
Just one.
Dom
You can only
has
set
Dom
one.
has us giving him notes. It's not helping at all.
I don't know, man. I'm all like, the safety part is the most important, obviously. But I just know, even before COVID, I think I was 0 for 200 on self-tapes.
Wow.
I was much more successful I was always a firm believer that like your audition starts the minute you open that door. Because I've been on the other side of it a little bit. I've sat in on auditions. I've been on the other side. And for sure, the minute that person walks to the door, you have a certain, like it's on, it's begun. So I missed that part of it. I don't get excited for it or hyped up for it. I'm kind of just like, let's get this done so I could get another round of Call of Duty in.
It's also a lot of work. It's also a lot of work. You got to learn the lines. You got to put yourself on tape. You have to cut it. You have to send it. You have to download. Sometimes these auditions are like 8-9 pages.
Right.
The file is long.
Yeah.
And then by the way, and then no one watches it. Have you ever had to like? I've like sent the link and like where it was like you have to get this in by Tuesday. I've gotten it on Monday. It's 9 pages. So you
And
go
no one
study
sees it for 3 weeks.
and it has the link has no views for fucking 10 days. It's like,
Crazy.
Why did I have to get this in by Tuesday?
I know.
Right.
I know. It's frustrating.
Hurry up and wait.
It's just not, it's not even frustrating. I just am not going to be successful this way. It's just not going to happen. And it's all good. I've come to terms with that. I'll figure out another way.
This is the other thing. When you're in a room and you're auditioning, you have a good sense of if what you're doing is somehow connecting
Yeah.
by the people in the room. When you're self-taping, you don't have any of that, and you have to make a conscious decision. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I want to play the role.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody on the other end sees it that way.
The only thing I've started to do a little bit, I've
Sucks.
experimented because of all my podcasting and gaming stuff. I've gathered so much equipment, as you guys could see over the years, like my green screen right here, right? That's just like a green screen, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was a fresco.
I have started to be, if it's not like a big giant like 9-page audition, if it's something small, I'm like, you know what? We're shooting this fucking thing. multiple cameras. We're doing angles. A couple of times I pulled Brie over her shoulder into the shot. I'm like, I gotta find a way to make this exciting. I'm like, fuck it. I'm making this exciting. I'm shooting it. And that's usually the worst idea to do. Keeping it simpler is better.
Yeah, you also have to think that they are viewing so many tapes.
God,
so they just want to get to it.
Yeah.
Just see it, boom, go.
I started shooting now. I'm doing coverage, bro. I'm doing wides, mediums, close-ups, fucking 50-50s, doing dumb shit.
How about we just do a dirty shot over your shoulder?
I've even toyed with like, should we shoot this outside? Like, no. Yeah. We're not going outside. It's 8 o'clock at night. What do you? They're gonna hear crickets. It's in Ohio.
Oh man, yeah. It takes time. It's definitely a different. It's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah, but you know what? You and I have been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of adjustments in the 2+ decades. So like, all good. I welcome it. Can't promise that I'm not sending the first take and stopping right after that, being like, that's good enough, fine, fuck it. So, but anyway,
not easy, man. It's definitely not easy.
So where are we golfing?
So Jerry
what's
Jerry
between here
Jerry
and
comes to New
Ohio?
York.
We'll go on Whippoorwill.
Yeah.
I'll be back, boys. Don't I'm coming. My whole family's still there. I'm gonna be in New York a lot. So right now we're a little bit grounded.
Yeah.
So Jerry, if you had to give a little piece of advice to anybody listening to this who's thinking about becoming an actor, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say if you've figured out that you love it, and let's assume that you have for the purpose of this, I would say this is so because this is like I'm giving advice about almost another career path, but I would say, because this cannot hurt you no matter what, experiment making your own shit. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like terrible and no one ever sees it, all good. Like that used to be difficult 10 years ago, before we all had like awesome cameras like in the palm of our hand that literally could look almost as good as most things that are shot. So I would say, whether it's like writing or just filming stuff, like try to get that acting part of you out in that way. And then also, like, especially with the writing, like a lot of people have had success with writing their way into an acting career. It's a hard path. It's definitely not easy, but that's just a little different advice as opposed to just like, well, go do a bunch of shorts and go do student films. And, that stuff's great and you should do that too. But I would say while you're waiting, because that's our biggest struggle, is like we're always waiting for stuff to happen, because I can't wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? I want to act tomorrow. I think I want to act tomorrow. Let's go act, I got to wait for someone to tell me I could do it.
Yeah.
I got to wait for someone to say, you could do what you love to do and we'll pay you to do it as your job. So in the interim, if you're on your way up, just starting out, either, like I said, while you're waiting for stuff to happen, which is okay, write something, write a short. And then film it. And even if it looks terrible, just get that experience, and to go do some extra work. If you've never been on a set before, extra work is hard. It is not glorious in any way. I've done it. I was an extra in the pilot episode of Sex and the City. You actually see me for 0.15 seconds, okay? In the pilot, I remember being like, HBO's doing a show called Sex and the City. I'm like, what is that, like a rated X movie, Sex in the City? Right, I didn't know it was gonna be like the biggest comedy of all time. I was an extra in Oz. I was an extra in Law and Order. I was an extra in I found the check for the Oz. It was $68. I was there for 14 hours. So
That's good.
I'm not advising like do this regularly. I'm saying if you've never been on a set before and you need to even see how that kind of, and no one's gonna do that. People are gonna listen to it and be like, shut up, old man. Stop yelling at the grass. But just do stuff while you're waiting, because there is just going to be waiting. There's just no way around it.
There you have it.
But yeah,
Jerry, thank you so much, man. You're my ace in the hole. I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see the family and meet James. Not Jimmy, guys. Not
James,
Jimmy.
Not Jimmy. No disrespect
James.
to the Jimmys out there, but he's not Jimmy. If he wants to call himself Jimmy when he's a grown man and he could beat me up, fine, all good.
Until then, it's James.
It's proper James.
Yeah.
Dom, you know I'm happy and proud that you're doing this, and I've always, you know how I feel about the format of podcasting. I love it. I listen to your show all the time and multiple podcasts a day. Keep it going, bro. You're killing it.
Thank you, man.
You guys all are.
I know. I do
Thanks,
want to
dude.
mention this. So when Jerry was doing his podcast, this is real quick. When Jerry was doing his podcast, we couldn't do the podcast at his house
Ever.
because I'm allergic to cats.
And my wife came with 2 cats.
Yeah.
There's
So he
2
would
cats.
he would bring everything wherever I was. We would sit down and we would do the podcast. He'd bring a bottle of white wine, and the rest is history, man.
That's awesome.
It's good.
And the last part of that too is one of the best episodes I think I've ever done. No one will ever hear. I was doing this series with actors called like horrible, like nightmare audition stories, right? We would just trade the awful, shitty audition stories we've had. And I'd done a couple of them, and I've been saving Dom because I know we're going to have a bunch of shit to talk about. So I got Dom, and then you were on Rosewood at the time.
Yeah.
So we got was it your showrunner? Or
No, it was
two writer producers?
two
Andy
producers.
And
Evan Bleiweiss, yeah.
and we all went to Dom's house in LA, and my wife is the producer of the show at that time too, and we had our travel set and all that because we can't do it at home, and we're taping it, and it's going amazing. Like Dom's stories are great. The producer story,
Andy takes the cake.
Andy, he has one of the greatest worst audition stories. You gotta
Oh my God.
have him on and just do that episode that we did that no one will ever hear, because
I was actually thinking about that.
when we finished, and we were using a Zoom to record on, and we weren't backing it up as well on the laptop, the memory card was corrupted. So the whole episode we wanted this episode so bad, we sent the memory card to Germany to a audio house that was trying to save the episode.
Yeah.
Spent like $400. Gone.
Can't do it.
They sent it
Gone.
back.
And we always said we would redo it and recreate it, but you guys know you can't.
And then Rosewood got canceled.
Do that episode with Andy and just make sure I get a special thanks or something.
I will.
We'll bring you
All right.
on. We'll bring you on for that.
For sure.
Jerry, love you, buddy. Thank you.
Love you too, bro.
All right, man.
Yeah, keep it up, fellas.
Thanks,
All right.
Jerry.
Jerry, that was awesome.
All right.
Later.
Later, buddy.